I mean, Charlie, that's Tucker. That's what Tucker gone. The whole network. It's not like Laura Ingraham and Jesse Waters are like, oh, good. Now we're back to like the Paul Ryan Republican Party. This is the Paul Ryan Republican Party at this point.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. Guys, I'm not sure if you guys still watch Fox News at all. I really don't watch much of it, but apparently Jesse Waters did something that completely shook his viewers. And honestly, considering he's probably the only host that's halfway bearable these days on Fox, I figure we better look at it together. But guys, before we do, if you haven't already, please help our channel continue to grow. I think going into 2024 is going to be harder and harder to get conservative voices heard. So guys, we are going to have to do this together. So if you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel, guys. I really, really do appreciate you. So here's where we're at. There are a lot of questions, legitimate questions, about what happened in Colorado. And, the liberal activists, they're not asking any questions. We got liberal activist judges removing a presidential candidate from contention. And the most disturbing part really is the people that are all taking a victory lap, the people that have absolutely no problem at all with any of this, they don't even know what the 14th Amendment says. And they definitely don't know what Section 3 even means. You guys know. You know that the point was to restrict Confederates from serving in the federal government after the Civil War ended. And Jesse, in this clip I'm going to show you, has a really, really amazing point that it's just now a hollowed out, reimagined Stone Age law that they found a way to misuse and weaponize. And if it's allowed to stand, if this is allowed to continue, it will absolutely be abused in ways that we probably can't even imagine. And to make his point, the guy gives actual examples of people that actually did something, unlike President Trump, who did nothing. Take a look.
5 years after the Civil War, pro-slavery Democrats filled the halls of Congress. And 15 years later, pro-slavery Confederates actually flipped the House. 51 former Confederate soldiers or officials were elected into office. Even the vice president of the Confederacy, Alexander Stephens, an arch secessionist, landed a seat in Congress. Another Confederate rebel, Lucius Lamar, great name, who literally drafted the Missouri Secession Plan, went on to serve as Interior Secretary and was later appointed to the Supreme Court. But how is that possible? Because all week we've been hearing how the Constitution bans insurrectionists from office, the 14th Amendment. How would Confederate soldiers be allowed to serve in government but not Donald Trump? Well, it turns out Congress eviscerated the 14th Amendment 150 years ago because President Ulysses S. Grant believed national unity and reconciliation after the Civil War was more important than holding a grudge. This law has been hollowed out and has been sitting on the back burner for years. Well, that is until Donald Trump came along. And like every previous attack, lunatic liberal lawyers resuscitate an esoteric legal theory from another century to prosecute the former president with. Remember how Alvin Bragg Frankensteined the bookkeeping matter into 34 felonies? Or how Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's now having to beg the Supreme Court, are we allowed to charge the president? Because his case is so arcane. The ballot stripping is just another Hail Mary to steal your vote because Biden's shot. Here's constitutional scholar Stephen Colbert.
Removing the guy who tried to overthrow a Democratic election is actually pro-democratic. That's like saying it's anti-hen to keep the fox out of the hen house. Let the chickens decide whether he finds them delicious.
But did you actually kind of hear how casually Colbert says the phrase, removing the guy? We're just removing the guy. You know, the guy who 74 million people voted for last time. We're just going to remove him? Who cares what 74 million people want? It's pro-democratic. It's pro-democratic to ignore the will of the people. Democrats are treating this like the Civil War, which they promised would happen if Trump got elected, remember? They say if Trump's elected, Colorado's gone.
You got to give it up for Colorado. They're the first state to legalize weed and illegalize Trump. Yeah, they banned him from the ballot. If Trump ends up winning in 2024, don't be surprised if Colorado suddenly becomes East Utah.
Are Democrats planning to start a second civil war? Because this is going to end the same way the last one did. Biden's basically demanding citizens grab their bayonets and fight. Listen to this. Ready? He says, the greatest threat Donald Trump poses is to our democracy. If we lose that, we lose everything. The pro-slavery Democrats thought Lincoln was the greatest threat to them, too, which is why Democrats took Lincoln off the ballot in 10 states. Today, they're stripping Trump off the ballot in Colorado, and Democrats in 17 other states are trying to boot him, too. Or, as Colbert says, remove the guy. California, a state you should never, ever emulate, is saying stealing your vote is the right thing to do.
When the Supreme Court of Colorado determines in an examination of the facts that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist and therefore is disqualified from being on the ballot, certainly here in California, we have to look at that information and make the same determination here.
Lady, Colorado didn't determine anything. Colorado didn't call witnesses, didn't present evidence, didn't allow the defendant due process. 4 unelected Democrat state judges just said Trump's an insurrectionist. Biden's going to have to run against Vivek. That's how it's going to work. Here's an interesting idea. Why don't we ask what the voters think? Because they're the ones who decide elections in this country. I know recently the elections have been decided by Fauci and the FBI, but let's get back to our founding. Listen to voters in Colorado, for instance, a solid blue state.
What do you think of the Supreme Court decision?
I think it's unfair.
How come?
Government shouldn't get in that position to control votes for certain candidates.
If that was a legitimate thing to happen, if he was part of an insurrection, he would have been arrested.
Outraged. Absolute outrage.
Why were you outraged?
They're going to take away our choice based on their personal beliefs, because I don't believe they're speaking for the people.
Tony Klanaris doesn't take this decision seriously. She thinks the Supreme Court taking Trump off the primary ballot is a result of game playing.
Why do you think they're playing a game and not doing their job?
They're part of the game.
And what's that game?
Not being honest.
But you think that Trump has been honest?
For the most part, yeah.
CNN just found out no one watches them. This is why we send Johnny out. We actually care what you think. We don't tell you what to think. But if Democrats want to play games with cobweb laws from a century ago, the only time Section 3 of the 14th Amendment was used was to remove a socialist who provided aid and comfort to the enemy. That's right. In 1919, socialist Congressman Victor Berger was caught helping the Germans in World War I. So we can strip Biden from the ballot for giving aid and comfort to Iran, China, Venezuela, right? Biden's paying these countries millions of dollars and letting thousands of their people sneak into our country. Texas should, as Stephen Colbert says, just remove him from the ballot. This election is already about a 9 out of 10. And we're not even at 2024 yet. They've already raided, arrested, censored, and stripped Trump from the ballot. And there's 10 months to go. And none of it's worked. I have a bad feeling about this. I really should not have gotten that tarot card reading.
Yeah, so you guys see that. I mean, maybe I should be watching more Jesse Waters. I don't know. But all fantastic points that you really, really can't argue with, especially quoting Grant. National unity is more important than holding a grudge. Can you imagine Joe Biden saying that? Didn't Joe Biden promise to be the most unifying president ever? A president for all? How's that working out for us? Guys, that's all I've got. I thought you'd appreciate seeing this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. Merry Christmas, everybody.